What's up, everybody? Meteorologist Will Haney here. Wasn't that a fancy little countdown? I don't know if anyone caught that. Just trying something new. A little 30-second countdown because I always say, well, we'll get this thing going once I share this. So I was quickly able to share this. What's up? It is Sunday night. It is 9:32. Apologies that this is a little late. I've been combing through the forecast, looking at everything, and wanted to make sure we were all ready to go. But a couple programming notes. We'll be on Arc West Michigan tonight at 10, and then a little late on News Channel 3 because of the NFL doubleheader earlier in the day. So we will be on at, hold on. There we go. We'll be on tonight closer to 11:30, unfortunately. So if you are staying up late, we'll be over on Channel 3. And if you want to catch us early, we're on 3.2, the Arc at 10. I wanted to start off by showing you all this because I find it somewhat interesting. Hello, Kelsey. I appreciate that. You're too kind. And Orlo, hello. Wanted to start off by showing you this. I think this is kind of cool. So in these early season Arctic air outbreaks, if you want to call it that, big fancy word for big fancy phrase, I should say, for some of these early season cold snaps. When we see these early season Arctic air outbreaks, Lake Michigan actually works in our favor quite a bit. Because Lake Michigan right now is still largely in the 40s as far as water temperatures, middle to upper 40s in most cases. Maybe some shallow water is a little colder than that, but out over the open water, still, much warmer relative to the air that is moving into the region. So as that air moves across Lake Michigan, it actually warms up a little bit. So we have Lake Michigan to thank for that. You can see the difference between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids versus off there in Chicago, where they had, I think they were saying on the NFL broadcast today that it was, I believe, to their knowledge, the fourth coldest game at Soldier Field in Chicago. So just kind of, something to think about. This year we're much warmer relative to our friends off to the west. And what's interesting too about this is tonight the wind is actually going to shift a little bit. So right now it's been persistent, pretty northwest throughout the day. The wind is actually going to shift a little bit more to a southwest component. So if I were to draw that on here, obviously coming from this direction. What's interesting about that is we usually associate a southwest wind with warmer temperatures, and we do somewhat. We are going to see persistent southwest winds the next couple of days, which is going to steadily warm us up. But in this scenario, what's interesting is that you can see off to our southwest, there's actually colder air, which is somewhat of an anomaly. So that colder air is actually going to kind of wrap around Lake Michigan overnight, and we're going to fall back into the single digits. And wind chills will likely be well below zero in many cases early tomorrow. Currently, we're, again, in the upper teens and low 20s. That just tells kind of part of the story, though. If I switch this over to the wind chill, there's a steady breeze in most cases, and that's making it feel right now a lot colder, it feels like, or wind chill on the right here. And it's been kind of hanging out in that range all day long. Looking ahead to overnight, we'll fall to, I think, about 6 degrees. We do still have mostly cloudy skies thanks to lake effect cloud cover. The lake effect snow has pretty much wrapped up for the night, but those clouds act as a blanket as well. So not only do we have the shield, if you want to call it that, of Lake Michigan, but also the cloud cover keeps those temperatures from really dropping off overnight. That being said, if you are far away from Lake Michigan, I would say some of our easternmost counties, say you're out in Marshall, say you're out in Albion, for example, you all could easily, I think, fall into the low 20 or low single digits if we see some clearing. And we'll show you satellite here in just a second. And note my little note there, wind chills as cold as about -5 to -10 or -5 to -10. As I've been corrected by some math teachers, and they're not wrong. Because if you say -5, -10, minus is kind of like not exactly a adjective, it's more of a verb. I have a math minor, believe it or not. But anyways, 5 below or 10 below, or -5 or -10 degrees. So it will be pretty cold tomorrow. What's interesting is I've talked to some folks in like education. I actually did a piece on this for our winter weather special. Usually the threshold for school closings is a little closer to about 20 below in this part of the country. It's not to say that, maybe I won't say it's impossible, but I don't think it's quite cold enough to see those like widespread cancellations from extreme cold. We also don't have any extreme cold related weather alerts. There are some across the pond, if you will, across Lake Michigan, but not so much locally. And I think that kind of bolsters that chance of a what if we had those. But as we look ahead to tomorrow, it's one more frigid day, high around 20, very similar to where we were at today. Today's high was 19 in Kalamazoo, so we're pretty much right on par with that. It'll be breezy in the morning, especially tomorrow, and then we're much warmer on Tuesday with a whopping 34 degrees. Won't that feel great after the last couple of days? Here's the deal. The weather's pretty quiet the next few days. It's not until late in the week that things get a little bit more active yet again. So just your weather in a nutshell the next several days. We will have a disturbance to our north tomorrow. I don't think it will bring any snow showers here locally, but we do stay pretty persistently cloudy. Mostly cloudy, I think, as well on Tuesday before some breaks of sunshine. Wednesday, here's your hint. Wednesday is the day of the week, if there was one. We're going to warm up to about 40 degrees, so that snow is really going to start to melt, especially if we can see some sun, which is looking a little bit more likely. So Wednesday is our just best day, most choice day overall, because yes, Thursday we warm up, but it's a really gross day overall with rain pretty widespread in the morning into the afternoon, and then a lot of wind too. There's some models that are hinting at wind gusts in excess of 45 miles an hour, so we might be talking wind advisory criteria in the mix. But that's just something we'll have to watch. Pretty tightly wrapped up low pressure, though, that's going to swing through. On the back end of that system, we'll get a shot of some briefly colder temperatures. You can see Friday we dropped down to 26. And in the mix, Thursday night into Friday, kind of in between those two snapshots you see there, we may see some lake effect snow. Still too early to pin down any potential accumulations, but I would think traditional snow belt areas at least a couple inches. I would say looking increasingly likely for Friday. Into next weekend, it does look to quiet off quite a bit. But yeah, Thursday is the day to watch right now. Rain likely, melting snow and road ponding could become some issues. You also have to factor in that a lot of us, I know some areas of Kalamazoo, for example, some areas in Portage, there might have still been some folks that raked and have like leaves in the gutter, and that never got picked up because the snow hit. As you recall, that first big snow happened right after Thanksgiving. So that final leaf pickup for some of you might not have happened because that one's always weather dependent. So, if you want to be a good Samaritan, I always say this, I know it feels weird being like, you should clean your drain, but I think it's a good thing to do. And it helps everybody out. So if you live on a street and you notice that the storm drain is pretty clogged up, it takes like a couple minutes to go take a shovel out there, break it up a little bit, and maybe scoop out some of the debris. And that can go a long way because this time of year, some of those, road crews and stuff, they can't get to every single drain. So just something to look at. The warmest day, whoever just asked that, is Thomas, is definitely Thursday. However, like I said, I think Wednesday is the better day, even though it's a few degrees cooler. Right now, though, it is pretty frigid out there. We are mostly cloudy. I want to jump into satellite really quickly just to show where the lake effect cloud cover is currently hanging out. If my computer would cooperate. I apologize that I have not read any of the comments. Pugs are us. Are those the pug lovers? Did you guys change your name? Pugs are us. They've had enough of the snow and cold already. And some heat can come back. It's going to be a little bit. And thank you, Mikey. I appreciate you, and thanks for sharing. I like hanging out on these Facebook Lives. We can go into a little bit more depth. And we're also on YouTube, by the way. If you don't follow us on YouTube, we're trying to kind of grow our YouTube in full transparency. And so we have a great following on Facebook. But if you are a YouTube user, especially if you have YouTube TV or if you have the YouTube app on your smart TV and you have an account, would appreciate it if you could go hop on there and hit the subscribe button. And then you'll get notified either way. Because sometimes people say they miss us on Facebook because Facebook's weird with the notifications and things sometimes and your feed. So just gives you an extra way in case we're ever live. We try to go live on both simultaneously. So shout out my YouTube peeps if you are on here. We usually have a pretty steady stream of Facebook comments, but if you're on YouTube, feel free to comment too. And Sturgis will be -9 at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning when our kids are coming to school. Most schools call it at -15. Marissa, man, I don't know where you saw that. I don't know if you're I would presume talking about wind chill. Certainly possible. And as I talked about a little earlier, I think the conversation starts when it's closer to about -15, but the threshold used by most larger districts is usually a little closer to -20. But it's certainly not an exact, I won't say an exact science, but there's a lot of things that can factor into that. Some of our rural districts, I don't know how the roads are in, like, say, rural Van Buren County or like up in Berry County, for example. Some of those rural districts, when the ice, with how cold it's been this weekend, we've probably had some ice really build up on some of those gravel roads and things like that. So I won't say it's impossible, but I am not too optimistic. I don't think teachers, students should really get their hopes up for a school day, especially just solely based on cold for tomorrow. And thank you, Mikey. Preston. Yeah, clearing out the drains is a great suggestion. Thank you, Preston. I appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, like, you're already shoveling your driveway, and like I said, it can take literally 2 seconds. Plus, it helps you out. Like, I have my driveway, 5 feet to the right is a drain. So if that plugs up, that just leads to ponding, like, kind of backing up to right in front of my driveway. So AKA, it's in my best interest as well to keep that clean, because if I don't, come Wednesday, Thursday, there's going to be a big pool right at the end of my driveway, possibly even on my driveway, and then that'll all ice over on Friday. So yeah, just, it's a simple thing we can all do. Just break up the ice a little bit. And yeah, Marissa, real feel -9. Yeah, I can show that here in just a second. I showed that a little earlier. And I know, Preston, I joked that we'll be busting out the T-shirts later this week. But as I mentioned, that those clouds this time of year can really provide a little bit of a shield from some of the really cold air, that in a combination with Lake Michigan. But this is all clouds kind of streaming across the Great Lakes region. There's some more clouds upstream, though. That's because we have a little disturbance to our north. You can see that light snow up near International Falls moving into Lake Superior. The UP might see a little light snow tonight. North central Michigan will get a little light snow tonight/tomorrow. We will, I think, miss out on that. But that disturbance will bring a little uptick in cloud cover, in addition to the fact that we have still some kind of lake effect influence going on. So the fact that most of our area is cloudy right now. Now, there could be some breaks in the clouds if you look really closely here, and even just a few breaks in the clouds. If we see some clearing out towards, say, I-69 overnight, that would be kind of the most likely suspect, I would say, to see some clearing. Then it's certainly possible we see temperatures, air temps could even fall below 0 in some cases. I think this is, though, a pretty good estimate of, let me show you really quick. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I think this gives us a pretty good idea, though, of temperatures and wind chill come tomorrow morning. So I played this out into 8 a.m. tomorrow. So this is essentially, right around sunrise. And you can see the air temp real feel or wind chill, I would say at coldest gets down to about -10 tomorrow, or flirts with that. I don't think we're looking at like -15 to -20, which would be, like I said, that threshold where they start talking about different cold weather alerts with the National Weather Service and possible cancellation. So we're kind of just on the cusp of that. And honestly, this is very similar to how it was this morning. In some cases, I believe Sturgis or Coldwater, one of the two this morning, got down to, like, at worst, I think a -12 wind chill. So just something to be mindful of, and just a morning where you're definitely going to want to bundle up the little ones and protect any exposed skin. Now, one other thing I will highlight really quickly, if I can, is just the fact that we have one more really frigid day before temperatures largely trend a lot more mild the rest of the month. So, but that being said, there's been a lot of stuff circulating on social media, like about, oh my gosh, it's going to be like I saw some posts, it was like Torchmas or something like that. Don't get too excited because while there will be parts of the country, especially the southern US, that will be very, very warm, I don't necessarily think we're going to be that warm necessarily. If anything, near to slightly above average, but keep in mind our average this time of year is still in the middle 30s. So I don't foresee, at least as of now, like a surge of 60s or anything crazy like we saw. I think it was a couple years ago. We were remarkably warm on Christmas. I don't foresee that happening. However, I think our likelihood of a white Christmas, a true white Christmas, if you want to call it that, is not looking too great right now. However, it's still too early. There could still be, temperatures in the middle 30s. The right system swings through here. It still can easily produce snow. So what I'm trying to say is our hope for a white Christmas or a snow right around Christmas is not lost yet. However, it doesn't maybe look all that great, if that makes sense. So again, you can see that surge of warmth expected Wednesday, Thursday. Finally, a pattern shift kind of on the way that's going to bring some more mild temperatures. This is that stretch right into Christmas. Right now, we're indicating some low to mid 30s. These are high temperatures down here, which is, again, right where they typically are this time of year. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I got to run. Oh my gosh, it's 9:48. I'm glad I looked at the clock. But I appreciate all of you. Again, if you don't follow us on Facebook, we appreciate that. But also, we really would appreciate you to give us a follow over there on YouTube. Some of you are watching us on YouTube right now. We really appreciate that. We appreciate everybody. But again, trying to just kind of grow that YouTube audience a little bit. And hopefully, like I said, if you follow us in a couple places, you're less likely to miss out on one of these Facebook Lives. We try to do these every night at about 9 o'clock. He's better at sticking to the 9 p.m. than I am, I will admit. But we try to keep it going for you and keep you updated. So thank you for watching, and we'll keep you posted on that system on Thursday. And again, 10 o'clock tonight on the Arc West Michigan, and 11:30 over on Channel 3. So if you're tuning in at 11, like, where are we? It's because of NFL a little bit earlier in the day. All right, Dawn, have a great night. Lori, have a great night. Nancy, have a great night. Wilson, what's up, my man? Dawn, Marissa, Ron, Thomas. All right, all the shout outs. Bye, everybody.